Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco Council meeting. The council thanks you for being a part of our city government. At meetings, the City Council takes formal actions on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other business of the city. Washington State, per federal guidelines, has lifted the requirements for face coverings for vaccinated individuals in most situations. Therefore, council members, staff, and the public who are vaccinated may attend this meeting without a face covering. Those individuals who have not been vaccinated will need to continue to wear a facial mask in the meeting until the order has been lifted by the state of Washington. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wad.gov/agenda. The City Council meetings may also be accessed online through GoToWebinar. This meeting is also being televised live on Pasco TV, streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. This and previous council meeting video is available on the city's website. And lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions by contacting the city manager or city clerk or using the feedback form on the city's website. So with housekeeping out of the way, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Alvarado.
Present.
Maloney.
Here.
Milne.
He is excused tonight.
Okay. Roach.
Present.
Serrano.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Present.
And Mayor Martinez.
Present. May we all rise for the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by a roll call vote as one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members or the public, the item may be removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda and considered separately. First on the consent agenda is the approval of meeting minutes, and that's to approve the minutes of the Pasco City Council meeting held on June 7th, 2021. And workshop held on June 14th, 2021. We have bills and communications, and that's to approve claims in the total amount of $6,165,903.31. And to approve bad debt write-off for utility billing, ambulance, cemetery, general accounts, miscellaneous accounts, and municipal court accounts receivable in the total amount of $188,330.74. And of that amount, authorize zero to be turned over for collections. Item C of the consent agenda is to adopt ordinance number 4539, amending the 2021-2022 biennial budget, providing additional appropriations in the city's general construction fund for the construction of Chapel Hill Park and further authorized publication by summary only. Item D is to approve resolution number 4068, approving the second restated interlocal cooperation agreement from the Bi-County Police Information Network between the participating jurisdictions and the City of Pasco for participating in the Bi-County Police Information Network, and further authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. Item E of the consent agenda is to approve resolution number 4069, authorizing execution of the professional services agreement by the city manager with McKay Esposito for the Lewis Street Corridor 2nd to 5th Avenue improvements project on Lewis Street Corridor improvements. Next on the agenda, consent agenda, would be to approve resolution number 4070, approving amendment number 3 to the professional services agreement with KPG for construction support services for the Peanuts Park Farmers Market project. Item G is to approve resolution number 4071, authorizing execution of the $1.5 million loan agreement with the Department of Ecology for the processed water reuse facility improvements. So with that, that is the consent agenda. If nobody has any questions or comments on the consent agenda, I would like to entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
All right, there's been a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilwoman Roach. So can we have a roll call for that, please?
Councilmember Serrano.
Yes.
Alvarado.
Yes.
Maloney.
Yes.
Roach.
Yes.
Barajas,
Yes.
and Martinez.
Yes, so it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have proclamations and acknowledgements, and none listed at the moment. And we'll go to item 6, where we have visitors other than agenda items. This item is provided to allow citizens the opportunity to bring items to the attention of the city council or to express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for the posing of questions with the expectations of an immediate response. Some questions require consideration by council over time and after a deliberative process with input from a number of different sources. Some questions are best directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Citizen comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes, each by the mayor. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and or submit written information for the consideration by the council outside of formal meetings. So with that, do we have anybody who would like to make an announcement or have something that's not on the agenda? Mr. Cortinas, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Mayor and City Council Administration, I'm Dave Cortinas, 411 West Clark, here in Pasco with the Latin Business Association President. 2 weeks ago, you were entertained by a local businessman who came here before you and spoke a little bit more than 5 minutes and mentioned my name 9 times and came with false accusations and all untruths. And I'm not going to mention any names tonight on anything that was said. I listened to your talk, Mr. Martinez, that you gave at the Pasco Chamber of Commerce. It was full of tears. I know that David Zabel has a soft spot, and so do I. I think I get it from my father. But I'm not going to shed any tears tonight because I did that 2 weeks ago when I heard my name smeared the way it was. And I'm here to clear that with facts and truths and not lies. I was very disappointed, Mayor, that you allowed him to continue more than 3 minutes. So I hope you allow me to share what I have to say tonight. We, at the Latin Business Association, we've been told that some council members have said we're not a legit organization. We have a federal ID number. We're a federal status number as a nonprofit. We have our federal UBI number. We have a city license with the city of Pasco. And we have offices downtown Pasco, 411 West Clark, Suite F. Are we a legit business? Absolutely. Are we recognized by the city council as a legitimate business? No. Have we had the privilege of the visit of any one of you city council, give us a call and say, hey, we'd like to visit your organization? We had that privilege from a city administrator, Dave Zabel. In November of last year, he asked to come to visit with us. He spent 90 minutes in our board meeting. We have 16 board members. Not even the DPDA can get 16 board members from downtown business owners. We can. Because they have a leader who has a vision and a mission of the best interest of theirs. Last 2 weeks ago, it was said that Mr. Cortinas has an agenda to destroy businesses. Far from the truth. You may hear that tonight. We have done everything we can to carry out Dave Zabel's mission and vision that you city council members have set for him and his administration. We committed to him that we would carry out his mission, that we would do everything possible to build bridges and not close doors on those that are in need downtown Pasco. We hear reports. I watch your council meetings on TV all the time. Many of you have gone, so I've been downtown Pasco. And your reports come back, oh, everything's peachy cream. Everything's nice. I don't know who you're talking to, but it's not these business owners downtown Pasco. That is far from the truth, and they will tell you. We want to thank you for the CARES Act monies that did make it to downtown Pasco. Many of them here did not receive any money. And those CARES Act dollars lasted for about 3 months. We've been in the pandemic 15 months, and these people are still suffering. And we know that the city received $17.4 million to be able to distribute to the community for projects. I listened to your, Mr. Maloney's list of wish lists that he entertained for all of you. And I know we haven't heard how much money you guys are going to put back into the downtown businesses. There's projects on there I agree, some projects I don't agree. But I think they're all the best for the best interests of the city of Pasco. We attended the bridge ceremony. We appreciate that we were able to take a picture with Dave Zabel. We appreciate that's the best thing that's happened to the city, is bringing Dave Zabel on the board. And then when I heard he applied for another job someplace else, I placed a call real quick. You're not going anywhere. We need you here. Now he's brought Adam Lincoln and others, and I've had the privilege to email back and forth with Adam. And I've enjoyed his emails and his harmony and the good things that he says. I haven't gotten those type of emails from any of you. I've had lunch with Mayor Martinez. I've had an opportunity to deal with Pete Serrano and Dave Milne. Good, common sense people that want to listen and want to hear and want to support. That is what we're looking from the city of Pasco, to support these downtown people. There's people wearing shirts that say Somos Pasco. These are Somos Pasco right here, not the people that are wearing these shirts. These are the people who need your help. Now, there's been some funds that have been funded to the contract that you have with DPDA. DPDA has a history of losing money 6 years in a row. 6 years in a row, the DPA has been in the red. Even last year, when Cinco de Mayo was canceled, they still lost $8,000 because the executive director didn't know how to read contracts, and he canceled a band a week before, and they wanted their money, and they had to pay the $8,000. Lost money. Are you taking care of our taxpayers by giving DPDA $100,000 a year? According to Dave Zabel, $250,000 with in-kind dollars, sending police officers to man the streets for their festivals and giving money for the specialty kitchen. Waste of funds that we have been seeing. One executive director stole $150,000 and spent time in jail for it. These are not well spent dollars. When Gary Crutchwell was here, I was part of the board of the Pasco Downtown Development Association. I was not agreeing with the way they were running things. Gary Crutchwell didn't agree with it, and he canceled the contract and moved on and created this new organization. You were part of that, Mr. Martinez.
So I think I've been real generous.
I know you have. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
To wrap it up now, so we can give others an opportunity as well.
I know that the other gentleman was never interrupted. The gentleman that came and bashed Mr. Serrano was interrupted. Okay, so
we addressed the council.
That's fine.
But I would just ask you to wrap it up, please.
Also, real quick, protocol is really important. And I've had an opportunity as being the national president of the Latino press. We follow protocol and respect. When you, mayor, should have been the deputy mayor, instead they named somebody else with all new city council members. And you were not elected as deputy mayor when you should have. The next mayor here in this, if you follow protocol, Dave Milne is the next man in line to be the mayor.
You have to wrap it up, Mr.
I'm talking protocol. What I'm saying is this: money's lost because we are not spending our monies correctly. So we're asking you tonight that you give the Latin Business Association the opportunity to show that we are a legitimate organization, that we do have our accountant, Dante Montoya, who worked with the Council of Governments, giving out loans throughout the Tri-Cities, and others. And also Luz Gutierrez from Yakima, Washington, who's loaned more than $26 million to small business owners. We are Somos Pasco. We are the organization that you should be working with. And stop giving money to those that lose money for the last 6 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. All right, anybody else would like to make a statement? Go ahead, sir. Okay, thank you.
My name is Nicolas Zavala, and we have a couple businesses with my wife in downtown and a couple buildings also. And we're trying to renovate one of them, the old Liberty Theater. And I'm glad that there's more Latino organizations like this one. I'm not saying we're the best one and the only one. There's many others. But we need more Latino organizations that can care for the businesses in not only downtown, but also in the whole Pasco. And that'd be great if you can channel some support. We have support from you in some areas already, but there's a lot of work to do. Some of those things might not even be money. It might be just having people to give you some different feedback or ideas about changing some of the ordinances to better serve the businesses and the new kind of businesses and population. So just consider that, and we're here to help, and we're here to support you. And it is true, it's hard to agree with everything, even within our own organizations, but we're here to work and we're here to support you. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yep. Appreciate it. Next, go ahead.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Verónica Ramírez. Yo soy una negociante de aquí del centro de Pasco.
Good evening, my name is Veronica Ramirez and I'm a business owner here in the city of Pasco.
Yo abrí mi negocio en el 2011.
I opened my business in 2011.
Cuando yo abrí mi negocio aquí en el downtown Pasco no había tanta economía como ahora la hay.
Back when I opened my business in downtown Pasco, the economy wasn't as good as now.
Ahorita nosotros, la mayoría de los negocios de downtown Pasco somos los que estamos jalando mucha gente que viene de los alrededores.
Right now, all of the businesses in downtown Pasco are the businesses that are attracting many people from all around the city.
Y estamos tratando de que toda la gente que viene de afuera venga y deje su dinero aquí al downtown Pasco.
And we're trying to attract all of those people that are coming from outside to bring and leave their money here in downtown Pasco.
Nosotros los negocios trabajamos 8 días a la semana, no tenemos días festivos, no tenemos horario de enfermedades.
Work 8 days a week. We don't have any holidays. We don't have any sick days.
Y trabajamos muy duro para que la gente que viene a nuestros negocios vuelva a regresar otra vez a volvernos a consumir aquí al downtown Pasco.
And we work really hard so people that come and visit come back and bring their money to downtown Pasco.
Ahora que pasó con lo de la pandemia, que nos obligó el gobierno a cerrar por 4 meses, fuimos los negocios más afectados aquí en downtown Pasco porque realmente no recibimos apoyo.
After the pandemic, we were forced to shut down for 4 months, and we were the most affected ones, and we never received any monetary support.
Muchos negocios tal vez sí recibieron ayuda, pero no todos nos apoyaron.
Maybe some businesses got some help, but not all of us did.
Yo principalmente fui y pedí el apoyo a DPDA y me dijeron que no había ayudas, que no había nada de eso.
And I personally went to ask for help at DPDA, and I was told that they didn't have any type of help or any of that.
Y después me di cuenta que DPDA podía pedir dinero para nosotros porque él es el que se encarga, la asociación que se encargaba de aquí del downtown.
And then I found out that DPDA could have asked for funds because they were in charge of the downtown association.
Yo busqué al señor Cortinas porque quería que alguien nos ayudara, alguien nos escuchara a nosotros como hispanos, porque realmente no teníamos quien nos apoyara ni quien nos ayudara.
I looked for Mr. Cortinas to come and help us because nobody wanted to listen to us, to us Hispanics, and there wasn't anybody willing to help us.
Ahora nosotros tenemos la asociación que es la LBA, la Asociación de Negocios Hispanos y Negocios Latinos aquí en Pasco, en Downtown Pasco.
Now we have the LBA Association, Latino Association here in downtown Pasco.
Y lo único que queremos es que nos apoye la ciudad porque nosotros aportamos muchísimo dinero aquí a la economía de Pasco.
And the only thing we're asking from the city is to give us some support because all of these Latino businesses bring a lot of money to the city of Pasco.
Y queremos que nos vean como lo que somos unos hispanos trabajadores y que día a día trabajamos para sacar adelante la mayoría de del negocio y aquí todo el downtown. Y también tenemos muchas necesidades.
We just want you to see us as really working people that work night and day, and we have a lot of needs
Aquí en el downtown,
here in downtown.
¿ok? Les pido la ayuda de favor y muchas gracias por escucharme.
I ask you for your help, and I appreciate it for listening.
Muchas gracias.
I apologize for, I'm not good at public speaking.
Okay.
My name is Maria Barajas, and I'm the owner of Caballero Western Wear in 515 West Lewis Street, and I'm also the director of membership of the LBA. Many of you, they have come and visit our store, my store, and I'm grateful for the support that, in the interest that you guys have in helping downtown Pasco, because if you guys support us, then it's gonna help us, everybody, all of us. But thank you, but there's still much to do, as we all know, and we still need that support. There's a lot of businesses that didn't get help, and they're the ones suffering more. So, and we're ready to, to roll sleeves and get to work with anybody. And another thing, my husband, and, I'm gonna start crying.
Okay.
And my husband, Carlos, and I have known Mr. Cortinas for almost 20 years. And one thing that defines him is his big heart. Sorry. Last year, he's ready to help anybody, a business, person. He called us. This bakery is having hot trouble in the wintertime. If you need to buy bread, go to the bakery. Just another business. And we did. As hair salon, go cut your hair at this hair salon because they're struggling. And there, we went to show our support. So he's just ready to help. Last year, there was no exception. He recognized that the downtown businesses were gonna be hurting. And he went door to door with the help of other business owners and rally ups all together. Right now, we're almost 85 members. And like I said, we are ready. His efforts of keeping us informed of all the grants, helping us, finding people to help a lot of the businesses that don't know English to, fill up their applications. He's just done it. He goes beyond. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. We have, all the businesses have survived, and it's because of all his efforts. So I'm so grateful for him, for having such a strong leader in the community, on the Hispanic community, because he's just a big leader for us. So thank you for listening to me, and hopefully we can get much of your support, because there's a lot of people that need a lot of help. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, come on, up.
Hi, my name is Delia Hernandez, and I opened Promociones de ACLC back in '98, and I was doing good. We sell snow cones, ice creams, we make our own flavors, and I've been working for a long time, and then I opened Salones de Fiesta Santa Cruz across the street from my other business, and I never asked for help because I work a lot, many hours. Sometimes I just sleep like 3 hours, 5 hours. But we need help, and we need someone like Mr. Cortinas that represents us, because he's the voice of our community. I know the other person that he's supposed to help me, and he just came to my place and screamed to me and causing like problems. We need to make changes. We are here to change our city, downtown. We want to make looking nice. We are here, if you walk through the streets, we only like Mexicans all around. So we're having a hard time with the people from outside living on the streets. I have problems with the code enforcement because they threw the garbage outside and all these kinds, and they're always behind me. I have been having problems to work with the city. When I went to open Salones Santa Cruz, they asked me for everything that they never has. So I had to request for a big loan to put fire sprinkles on my place. And I was paying good, but this came and we closed everything. So no parties at all. I had to make payments for my place, and this is really hard. Now when I tried to open, city came and they asked for things that they're not like important but cost a lot of money for me. Door that is a little bit open, it doesn't close too much on that half. They want me to change or fix, and asking me for like a door on the alley because the people from the street, they open, and I had to put lock and open when the business is running. So they asked me to change that door, the fence, and I don't have money right now. It's hard to me. And inside my place, I just put a small room now with the nothing on the top, just the walls to put like storage. It's very small, but they want me to make plans and us like to do plans and everything. So I don't think they be fair to me, but I always follow the rules. So if they tell me something to do, I do it. So if we work together, we want to make this works. I work a lot, and I have calling on my church, and I had to be busy every week on our meetings. And I believe we can change. So we are here to work. So let us the chance and let us the help, please. Now is the time that we need help for a little bit. We start opening our business and we can go back to work. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm a little nervous because it's my first time ever being here at the city of Pasco, but I've been here since I was 7 years old. I know Saul from church back in Othello, and it's nice to see you guys here. I'm the owner of Amora Mexico restaurant right on Clark and 5th Avenue. I'm also the owner of El Patron nightclub that should be opening here soon, I hope, if everything goes out good. During this COVID, has been really, really hard, especially for restaurants and pretty much every business, but the restaurants were really hard due to we were completely closed for 4 months last year. I think the CARES Act that was able to help me a little bit so that I could get through and pay some of the mortgage because I don't own the building yet, and a little bit of some other help that I got, but it just barely covered, bills and stuff because no income coming in at all. Then we opened up for 25%, which was, or to-go first. It was to-go orders, which was really, really hard. I had to do it myself. I had to be waitress. I had to cook. I had to take orders all by myself, which was really, really hard. No days off, which I still don't have days off as a business owner. So I think you guys all know we don't have days off. Then they said 25% capacity, it was tough. And then they said outdoors only. And I had to spend money to fix the outdoor patio. And then they said, no, take it off. And it's just constantly been really hard for us. So it would be nice if there's any type of help that you guys can do to all this Latin Business Association or anybody, not just the Hispanic businesses, but there's American businesses here too. If there's any way that we can be helped, it'd be nice so that we can continue. And many businesses closed. Some of us are still open. So if we just get a little bit of help, I think we can continue to be open. Now that hopefully on the 30th, if we can open up 100%. I still can't open up 100% due to now I have to put a fire sprinkler system. After all this we've gone through with COVID, now they hit me with a fire sprinkler system in order for me to even have just karaoke in my place. And I took an estimate on that, and it's a $90,000 that I have to spend to do that, which there's no way I can come up with that out of pocket since I've been out of business for, over a year, I think. As far as Mr. Cortinas, all I have to say about him is that he's the best person I've known. I've known him since 1997 when I first opened up my restaurant here downtown Pasco. He always has been there to help me in many different ways. I could sit here probably all night and mention all the things that he has done for us. This last that he's done is gathered up all the businesses to try for us to survive, to find a reason for us to be awake and get some type of help. He helped many businesses, like this other member said. He walked door to door, let everybody know, let's get together and see if we can, stay open. And so he's been 100% of help to me as a friend, as a business, and that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Gaudencio Felipe Sánchez.
My name is Gaudencio Felipe Sanchez.
Quiero agradecerles por su tiempo y darnos la oportunidad de aportar algún comentario.
I want to thank you for your time and give us the opportunity to make some comments.
La historia es larga, voy a hacérsela bien corta.
It's a long story, but I'm going to make it short.
En el año 1987 comenzamos el primer 5 de mayo aquí en Pasco, atrás donde está Vieras.
In 1987, we started with the first Cinco de Mayo right behind Vieras.
En ese tiempo trabajaba en el campo piscando espárrago.
Back then, I used to work in the fields picking asparagus.
Y un grupo de ciudadanos, sin tener conocimiento de nada de eventos, organizamos el primer 5 de mayo.
We were a group of citizens who had no idea of how to put an event together like that, and we managed to do that.
Me tocó ver la calle Lewis, que en ese tiempo había varios bares, varias cantinas, el negocio anglo.
On Lewis Street back then, there were quite a few bars, quite a few pubs, and many of them were Anglo businesses.
Se puede decir que empezamos a escribir la historia del hispano con el 60% actual o más aquí en Pasco.
We could say that back then we started to write the Hispanic story with over 60% here in Pasco.
En el año 90 tuve la oportunidad de conocer al señor Nicolás Zavala, que me dio la oportunidad de trabajar en radio.
1990, I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Nicolás Zavala, who gave me the opportunity to work in the radio.
Y empezamos a trabajar en tierra dura porque nadie quería comprarnos publicidad porque sabía que no habíamos muchos hispanos.
And it was a hard time for us to work on that type of terrain because nobody wanted to give us any type of businesses because they didn't want to work with Hispanics.
En el Columbia Center Mall de Kennewick tuvimos que regalarles un control remoto porque no había hispanos, según ellos.
At the Columbia Center Mall in Kennewick, we had to give away remote control because they said they didn't have any Hispanics.
Ese día nos pusieron en una pequeña esquina porque pensaban que a lo mejor íbamos a ir algunos 80 hispanos.
At that time, they put us in a little corner because they thought that only about 80 Hispanics were going to show up.
La sorpresa que ese día del evento, todo el mall se llenó de puros hispanos y nos pararon el evento y llamaron a la policía y bomberos porque había demasiados hispanos.
But to their surprise, the whole mall got full of people and they had to stop the event and call the police and call the firefighters because the whole place was full with Hispanics.
De esa historia a la fecha se han abierto más de 10 radios en español, más de 10 panaderías, más de 20 restaurantes mexicanos y entre toda la comunidad ustedes sabrán que Pasco ahora todo la Lewis y todo es puro comercio hispano.
And since that time, there have been over 10 radio stations, over 10 bakeries, over 20 Mexican restaurants, and you know that the whole street, Lewis Street, is full of Mexican or Hispanic businesses.
Y yo sé que cada día es más difícil porque cada quien tiene sus diferentes opiniones de pensar e intereses para trabajar en grupo.
I know that it gets harder every day because I know that everyone has their own opinions and ideas to try to work in a group.
Por todos estos años yo he sido de las primeras personas de crear todo el evento juntos y no alguien en particular.
During all of these years, I'm the type of person who wants to put this together as a group and not as a single person.
Desafortunadamente tuve que irme a hacer eventos a Richland, donde juntamos más de 14,000 hispanos celebrando el 5 de mayo.
Unfortunately, we had to go to the city of Richland, where we were able to gather over 14,000 Hispanics, where we had the Cinco de Mayo.
Entonces mi invitación, yo sé que tenemos un gran reto por lo del COVID y ya hay diferentes intereses. Y
So my invitation to you, I know there is COVID, it's a great challenge, but I do want to extend an invitation for you.
yo sé que aquí en Pasco tenemos ya es tiempo de encontrar la fórmula para trabajar juntos.
I know that here in Pasco, now it's the time to find a formula to be able to work together.
Por eso tomé la decisión de apoyar a LBA como una organización que podemos hacer el cambio.
That's why I decided to support the LBA as an organization, and because I know that we can make a difference.
Nada personal con nadie, pero el reto es grande porque todos los negocios hemos sufrido por el COVID.
It's nothing personal against anyone, but it's a challenge because all of the businesses have suffered because of COVID.
Les agradezco su tiempo y la oportunidad que nos dan de hablar y sepan que en mi persona estoy con la mejor disposición de apoyar por una unidad para que Pasco sea más fuerte y contribuya al desarrollo económico del país.
I appreciate your time and the opportunity to talk to you, and for the willing to work with us to make Pasco a better place and make this country a better place as well.
Les agradezco, yo sé que es difícil, pero sabemos que hay reglas que ustedes establecen y que nadie puede estar arriba de la ley. Todos tenemos que ser conscientes de que todos tenemos que sacrificarnos y trabajar en equipo.
I appreciate that. I know that there are rules and no one is above the law, and we just need to work as a team.
Gracias.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I can appreciate everybody's comments tonight. Agradezco mucho los comentarios que han compartido ahora en la tarde. We are trying as a council very hard to do the best we can. We have tried, estamos haciendo lo posible para ayudar a los hispanos y todos los negocios en downtown Pasco. It's been very difficult. There's many obstacles that we have confronted. Hay muchas cosas que nos han confrontado como la pandemia, ¿verdad? But, you know, we're just going to keep moving forward and see when we can find the right remedy to make it work for everybody. That's all we can do. I'm going to go ahead and give one more comment. I'll give you one more comment, and then we have to move forward. But go ahead and come.
I'll make it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Norma Stewart, and I'm here to support all the businesses. I've been in a business for 11 years with a Chicky Baby Boutique, and this year I was thinking I was going to close my store. I decided that I was going to close the store. I didn't see any future whatsoever after all this pandemic came and really hit us really bad. I decided I was going to close. But then when I saw David Cortinas making a difference with all the businesses, when I saw the city helping the businesses, because honestly, this is the first time that the city has been helping the Spanish community, the business, to me, to my point of view. And now all these businesses are getting together. I have a lot to thank Cortinas for helping us, to you guys for helping, and hopefully we are keep getting help because businesses are really hurting. We need the support from all of you, and we really thanks Cortinas that at least one person is gathering to make a difference in the city. We want to change downtown Pasco. We want to make it a better place for people to come out of anywhere to shop and to see the difference in the city. So that's all I have to say. I want to thank you guys for helping us, and I want to thank David Cortinas for helping all the businesses and all the people that is making a difference. Hopefully, we go through this situation because many of my friends, they're closed their businesses, and that is really sad. And I'm gonna stay in business just to see if I can survive. But thank you so much, and I want to thank and support David Cortinas.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and allow council to give a comment. Go ahead, Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you all for commenting. I just wanted to ask Director Sigdal if she could clarify again, remind us what some of the requirements are for the CARES Act funding, because I know that as much as we tried, there was a lot of federal bureaucratic gates that were in place that we didn't have any say in. So, Ms. Sigdal, I would think it'd be beneficial if you could remind me of what those requirements look like.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. There's a lot of strings that are attached to a federal grant, which makes it really difficult, especially given the scope of the pandemic and how many people it hit, and how we haven't really been through something like this as a nation and as a federal government and local government. So overall, the requirements were that you had to show that there's a reduction to revenue compared to your prior year, very much like what our ARPA funds are requiring right now. Even as a city, we have to follow a specific calculation to show comparatively from prior year to this year that a revenue has been lost. And then furthermore, if you are having to make certain purchases because of the pandemic for protection, then those receipts would be required. And as well as residency requirements, paperwork that would go with any federal grant that was a requirement for us. It's been a long year, so I think those were some of the high points. Just to add to this conversation, we have also recognized that we need to provide more support to our businesses and in terms of education of bookkeeping. That is something that I know everybody has struggled with, and especially for a small business, it's hard to be focusing and be an accountant and a lawyer and a business owner all at once. So that is something that we are looking at as a program.
Thank you for that reminder. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Councilmember Maloney. If there's nobody else, we're gonna go ahead and move.
If I can just take a minute, we have a couple of business owners that brought some gifts that wanted to share and give to, if we can allow to do that.
Well, if you have something, you can give it to the clerk and.
Yeah, that's one.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah. Oh, is it, well, hold on.
I apologize. There is a certain value above which we're not allowed to
Right.
receive
I don't know what
gifts.
kind of gifts you're talking about, but.
Fruit and vegetable baskets.
I apologize. Sometimes our rules can
I
be,
understand that they gave a gift to the mayor at the Pasco Chamber, and I won't get in trouble for this.
Right, and I'm not accepting that gift. So please, agradecemos mucho. We appreciate the gesture and the offer, but there is a lot of rules we have to abide by, and we won't be able to accept any gifts over a certain monetary amount, and we just prefer to just keep it. But we shouldn't be doing that. So I just want to tell you, we do appreciate the gesture and thank you for having the heart to do that. But because of the rules, we won't be able to accept those tonight. Okay. I don't know what they were talking about, but I just assumed that we better be safe than sorry. Okay. All right. So with that, we're gonna move right along. Thank you for joining us tonight, and you have been heard. So we're gonna do what we can to move forward and make it a better place. So with that, we're gonna go to the next item on the agenda, and that is reports from committees and/or officers. Anybody have anything they would like to report today? I know most of us were at the Juneteenth event, so anybody want to share anything? Yes, Mr. Councilmember Alvarado.
I guess I'll end with the Juneteenth celebration, but it was a busy week last week. We had a Council of Government meeting, and with that, just regular business. We have some funds that are being defederalized so that we can use locally, and there's some funding for a few transportation projects. Then we had a meeting with Governor Inslee that I filled in for mayor. I was with the mayors, and that was regarding Hanford cleanup. There's a lot of red tape around classification of waste, and there's a lot of conversation there that I don't think our local leaders or our local community is not necessarily seeing eye to eye with Olympia. And so we're hoping for more conversation. We're hoping for more just being able to come to some agreement so that we can move some of this waste that is, could potentially down the line be a big, I guess, a big danger for our communities if we don't appropriately dispose of it. And so then I attended Good Roads Association meeting, and we had the honor of having Representative Clicker and Representative Benke. Mr. Benke was part of the Transportation Committee, and that was part of what helped us get over the hump with for the Lewis Street overpass, and so he's been a great advocate for us. And now Mr. Clicker is now in the Transportation Committee in Olympia, so it's good to have him look at our come to Kennewick to our Good Roads Transportation Committee Association, and that's been really good in bringing legislators and come and check out our region and just bring awareness of the different projects we have. And then last but not least, I'm donning a cane today because I got injured playing kickball with our Pasco's Finest, and we had a council member from West Richland, and I got a little bit too fired up with my thinking I'm still in my 20s, and that was not the case, and so I am humbled in limping, but that's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Alvarado.
Well, I would say that Juneteenth was very special. It was really great to see community come together and just organized really well, and really being able to hear some stories from folks who've been here forever. I know that we had some great time with Mr. Daniels and with his brother as well, and just to share some of those stories. We have a lot of really rich history here in Pasco of folks who were celebrating and been a part of bringing this event, carrying this event for a number of years. So it's just great to see that event kind of continue to grow.
Thank you, Councilmember Alvarado. Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add to exactly everything that Councilmember Alvarado said already regarding Juneteenth, but also wanted to add that even our police department recognized that it had been one of the most attended events in years. Even when they had it last year, years prior to that, this event, this past Saturday, had one of the biggest attendance. So it's great that the community is coming out to support and joining forces and just being loud and proud.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. And I'd like to thank Eloise Sparks for all the work that she did, along with Mr. Edmonds and everybody who had a part in it. It was a wonderful event, and it really brought a lot of the community together. And it was just a great event to attend. And the best part for me was the free food. So a lot of great food that they had at the event. So, all right, thank you for that. Next, we'll move on to the next on the agenda, and that is hearings and council actions on ordinances and resolutions relating thereto. None listed. Ordinances and resolutions not relating to hearing. None listed. But we do have some unfinished business. But actually, we don't have unfinished business. We have new business. And that would be number 11 on the agenda item, where we have a situation for Danilyuk short Plat sewer service requirement appeal. Mr. Rick White, would you like to fill us in on that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. And this is a very unusual circumstance. I don't recall ever having done this before with council in my time here. And that is an appeal of a sewer waiver denial. The property itself is located west of Road 96, about halfway between Argent and the FCID canal, roughly in line with Maple Drive. If you think of Maple Drive right off Road 100, it's about 2.1 acres or so in size, and the proposal is to divide it into 3 single-family lots. The zoning on the site is RS20, which means each lot needs to be at least 20,000 square feet in size. The short plat was applied for. One of the conditions for approval of the plat was the condition for extension of the sewer utility to serve the plat. As the crow flies distance between the sewer availability to the north is about 1,100 feet. I took a drive out there last week, I think, and visually it may not flow northward 1,100 feet. I don't know yet because we haven't been provided an engineer's assessment of the availability of sewer to the north. But if it doesn't go north, it then would have to go south to Argent and a bit west for a distance of approximately 2,900 feet. Sewer utility waivers and water utility waivers are guided by PMC Chapter 16. And in Chapter 16, the subsection 16.15 indicates some of the requirements that are necessary for consideration of a waiver. And obviously they're contained in the staff report, but as way of summary, I'll try to briefly describe each of these waivers or each of these criteria. And much like a variance that our hearing examiner would consider, the special circumstances related to the property have to be generally, the special circumstances applicable to the property or to the intended use do not generally apply to other properties in the same vicinity or zone. So there has to be something special, property related about this particular circumstance. The special circumstance in this case would probably pertain to the requirement for sewer extension to make the property economically viable, which perhaps is not the case, since if it remained as it stands now, it could be developed with a single-family lot. So without the subdivision, it could be permitted for a single-family lot because it's an existing parcel. The second criteria is that the waiver is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a property right or use possessed by other properties in the same zone and same classification, which, because of special circumstances, is denied to the property in question. There's a lengthy explanation in your agenda report, but essentially the properties in this vicinity were developed roughly between 1960 and 2000. They were generally not in the city at that time, and they, of course, weren't provided the ability to use sewer service. So generally speaking, there isn't a waiver that is necessary to allow the property to be developed as the other properties in the vicinity are, which is with single-family homes using a septic system. The third criteria is that the granting of the waiver will not be detrimental to the public welfare. And through our comprehensive plan policies, sewer service within the urban growth area has been a policy and a goal of council for some time now. And then lastly, the granting of a waiver will not conflict with the general intent of this chapter. And again, it relates back to the reasonable expectation of the economic use of the property. If the sewer requirement is strictly enforced, again, the property can be permitted for a single-family home. The requirement that it's going to be subdivided kicks in the requirement for the provision of sewer related to our comprehensive plan policies. And based on the staff summation and interpretation of the waiver criteria, as outlined in 16.15, we do not believe that a waiver to the sewer requirement is warranted at this time. I did answer a question Mr. Maloney had today related to the distances between the sewer service to the north and south. And I did want to point out that in certain circumstances, the city will in fact participate in assisting with sewer provisions, much like what is happening right now on Road 52 and Wernet. But it's based on an individualized calculation of the developable land that can be served by a facility. Our long-term comprehensive sewer plan had what's called a Riverview East and a Riverview West lift station identified as two facilities that are necessary to serve the former county island, the Riverview area. So with a short plat application, an analysis was conducted on Road 52 in Wernet, and there was property, approximately room for about 150 single-family permits that could be served by a very small lift station. So the sewer utility is actually participating in assisting, providing sewer service for that area and for a future set of subdivisions that would total approximately 150 single-family units. The same thing would apply in the Riverview West, but probably not in this location, because the road network, as council has heard many times before, the road network, due to county development patterns, is simply just not conducive to further subdividing much of the developable vacant parcels. I did want to also point out that within the current city limits, now again, this is based on our analysis for the comprehensive plan, so it's about 1.5 years old. But within the current city limits, there's about 175 acres of RS20 zone property. Roughly 93 of those acres are potentially underutilized, meaning they are on parcels that are 3 times the minimum required for the 20,000 square foot lot. So anywhere from 2 to 4 or so times greater than the minimum density requirements. But given the road pattern in that area, it's unlikely that a potential Riverview West lift station will make a difference in this particular circumstance. So the applicant has done everything he's been asked. He's exhausted his administrative appeals. Again, very unusual for this to go to city council because it just hasn't happened for whatever reason. But hopefully that summary provides at least some background information, and I'll try to answer any council's questions.
Thank you, Mr. White. Any questions from council? Yes, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. And thank you, Mr. White, for answering my questions earlier and providing more context here. I know I've expressed in the past, and I certainly is still true, that I very much support ensuring we have good sewer facilities in our urban growth area and in our city. I mean, obviously that's key for us to be able to efficiently and effectively manage our city and handle the growth that we're receiving. I am concerned about disproportionate costs here, and that's I guess what keeps on catching me. And there's a specific reference in one of the letters to this that I'm hoping Mr. Ferguson can help us understand a little more. And it was referenced in from the appellant, and that was about the Benchmark Land Company versus City of Battleground. And my recollection, I've seen this before, and it has to do with proportionality of asks when someone's redeveloping, but I really don't have more context than that. So if you could spend some time, perhaps give us an overview of that, it'd help me understand where we're at as a city on understanding this.
Sure. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I'll try to do my best and defer to Jeff Briggs in our office as well, who really does the heavy lifting in this area. But long and short of it is, as I understand, this particular context is related to the nexus and proportionality of the requirement, so that it has to be connected. And in this case, I don't think that would apply. I think both obviously the nexus to this particular property, the development requirement, the nexus to the actual development, sewer to the property. So clearly there's a nexus there. The requirement and it's proportional in terms of what's being required for the lot. Now that could obviously be up for debate. I think folks have different ways of looking at that, but it really would. It's not something that would be separate and apart for something that's related to the lot, to the property. So I don't think that would have a problem being shown that it's proportionate because of the requirement of the code, which is that it have sewer. It's inside the city. So I don't think that really would have a whole lot of traction. But obviously, different people take that different. Jeff, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, thanks for that, Eric. I would add as well, and I think Mr. White pointed that out in his presentation, that there's also the opportunity for the applicant to do a latecomer agreement so they could recoup the costs associated with extending the sewer to that location.
Great, thank you for that additional clarification, understanding the legal landscape there. Obviously, that's certainly not my specialty, but I appreciate that. I guess, I wonder, I mean, putting a latecomer agreement and that being an option of funding to a developer does put them out a significant amount of money. I mean, we're talking about, just rough numbers was that this would be, something like $100,000 worth of sewer line for 3 lots. And that's a lot to ask a developer to front for something like this. It is in the city's best interest, from what I can see, that we would have sewer to this lot, and we understand there needs to be an increased density. So it seems like it is in the city's benefit. Mr. White, is there any way that we could look at providing some of the funding and us carry the latecomers agreement? I guess what I'm seeing with some of this is we look at this as the Riverview area develops and as these former county lots develop. There's going to be more and more circumstances like this where we're increasing density, and I believe strongly that we have to be very careful about what we're asking our developers to foot, even advanced footing if they're going to get paid back in the future. What is there some option there where the city could administer that as opposed to requiring that the developer foots all of that portion, and instead the developer foots something that's more proportionate, specifically with with a more reasonable look, like say a 200-foot look as opposed to an 1,100-foot sewer. I'm just trying to understand what the landscape is here. Thank you.
Well, certainly, I can't guarantee any outcome, of course, but certainly we can take a closer look, much as we did on the Riverview East area, the Road 52 and Burnett circumstance. And I'm trying to recall, I think the developer has actually formed, or is intending to form his own latecomer agreement. His actual subdivision went from the minimum of, I think it was a 12 or 14 lot subdivision, all the way up to 38 with lots with the provision for sewer service. We can take a look at that. The circumstances are quite a bit different, but and if necessary, we can come back to council. We can continue this public hearing, but it's probably worthy of a more detailed analysis.
Yeah, thank you. I don't
know what the outcome is.
Right, understood that you're not promising me one way or the other. I guess I feel a little bit. I feel like that's a really big ask to put on a developer for a couple extra lots, but at the same time, we are asking and encouraging our developers to increase density in the city. And so I think that has to be a partnership as opposed to a set of requirements that we're expecting people to follow. Of course, it's not so clean one way or the other as to suggest that we can just choose one or that we're just going to invent some money for this. But I would be very interested in understanding our options better before I'm ready to vote on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Maloney. And before we move on, I have a question for you, Mr. Ferguson. We've had a hearing on this, correct?
No, so that is one of the unique things about this. So Mr. White, I think, understated the rarity of this particular situation. This is one of the few situations where we have an open record appeal hearing. That's an oxymoron. So what that essentially means is that this is a new hearing. This is the final stage of the administrative appeals that the applicant has before they would be able to pursue any kind of adjudication through court proceeds. So yes, this is an open record appeal hearing, so you can take testimony. You need to open the floor to be able to have folks be able to talk and create a record.
Okay, so we have the opportunity to allow for the public to speak in.
Absolutely, yeah, and would actually be much worse off if you didn't.
So
Absolutely.
do I need to do anything formally to open the?
No, it's an open record appeal hearing, so yeah, just being able to have folks come up and testify, it would be sufficient. You don't need to, it's not a formal public hearing where you need to open and
All
close
right,
it.
with that said, I'll
right?
give, but would the council be amenable to hearing
Absolutely.
him first?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I have a question that this is for Eric or Jeff. If we did a reverse latecomer agreement, is there a risk of public funds issues?
Well, that is the nuance of this particular situation, just as a little more background before we let folks testify. But I think that is one of the nuances to this particular situation in that it would have to benefit clearly being involved with sewer is clearly a public function, so we're not worried about that. The biggest problem or the hurdle is going to be making sure that it actually benefits the public and not one particular person. So that would be the nuance, but again, like Mr. White said, we haven't even analyzed that yet.
Well, you would think I'd be used to it already, first time things happen, you know, since I've been here. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you the opportunity, sir, if you wanna come up and share something.
My name is Brenton Griffin. I'm working with the Danilyuk on. Your mic's not on.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
My name is Brenton Griffin. I'm working with the Danilyuk on this subdivision. I'm the land surveyor / consultant, helping them trying to navigate the process. And like they said, we're at the last stage where we've submitted our desired plans to develop. Take 1 2.5 acre property and split it into three lots, averaging about 3/4 of an acre apiece. We submitted this believing that we had met the conditions, the provisions in the code 16.15010. With the meeting those requirements for the utility waiver, minus this quote unquote special circumstances that keeps being thrown around, which we still have no idea what a special circumstance is or how do we become a special circumstance to grant a waiver. However, there is the place still in the code that leaves room for the council to overpeel any denial on a utility waiver as well. So we were just coming to present that we have been approved by the health department for minimum lot sizes of 18,000 square feet, which matches the density or actually supersedes the density of the 20,000 square feet. Having an alternate form of septic, it's consistent with the other neighbors. Granted, they were developed prior to being annexed into the city. And as Rick mentioned, this area has no utility extension plan in the comprehensive plan of the city. And so with it not being serviced or planned to be serviced by the city, it's tough for a landowner to want to build a couple homes for his family, split it up and get a couple homes. It's tough to front multiple. You had quoted 100,000. It'll be a couple 100,000 on the sewer, public sewer extension, running it down 96 versus a couple tens of thousands for just the septic, which has already been approved by alternate means. So that's just kind of our approach, and coming to you guys as last resort of, we've done what we could, jumped the hoops, went through the code as far as we could take it, and then now here we are for appeal, not having the hearing examiner or other alternative methods of hearing our case. So,
All right, well, thank you for that. That was helpful. All right, Councilmember Roach?
If I could just say one thing, if the person testifying has things that they would like to put into the record, probably now's the time to get those to the city clerk if he has things that he would like to have in the record.
did you guys all have a copy of our waiver letter directed to you guys, council members? It appeared to have been left off the agenda, so we just wanted to make sure that the planning department had got that to you guys.
Yes, that was added.
Sorry, what? Correct, yes. Kind of specifying each of those areas, as well as the health department approval letter, and then I just have an overall utility extension map.
All right, thank you. All right. Councilmember Roach?
I just had a question for Mr. Rick White about, to verify, does the city have a plan to extend or have a lift station that services that area that is in question here?
We have not, I wouldn't call it a plan. We have we have identified that there's a lift station needed somewhere in the Riverview West area, somewhere around this site. Yet unknown when, or excuse me, where, and yet unknown what size. At least for the old comprehensive sewer plan, there was always the thought that it would be sized to serve the entire Riverview West area, which would be several hundred acres. Same thing on the Riverview East. But it turns out when you do the land capacity analysis, which we did for our comprehensive plan, there's not that much property that is actually developable. So we don't have a plan per se, but we know that at some point a lift station will be needed in the Riverview West area.
Thank you.
And yes, Councilmember Alvarado.
Thank you. I guess it's a question of curiosity, and I don't know if we know the answer to this, but do we foresee circumstances like this based on areas that have been annexed into the city that have similar kind of circumstances? I'm assuming that if this is something that it sounds like it's kind of an unusual circumstance, but do we perhaps see more things on the line, down the path that could be potential like this that we perhaps need to look at our code, perhaps for a specific area?
Yes, I think I think it's obvious that we're going to see more and more of this. Now, whether that continues once the full impact of our urban growth area expansion is approved by the county back on June 8th, becomes law. I don't know if the development pressure in Riverview will remain as high as it is today, but let's assume that it does, simply because it's closer to town and the cost may be less, et cetera, et cetera. I think you'll see more and more properties wishing to develop, and when the city ratepayers are paying for the provision of sewer service with the example I gave with Road 52 and Burnett. They'll be doing the same in these kinds of circumstances. And any time that waivers are granted, that's one less property that is available to help provide sewer service in the Riverview area, for example. But yes, the circumstances are typical in Riverview. There are a lot of properties many feet away from sewer service. Whether that continues or not, I guess only time will tell.
And if I could briefly add something to Rick's comments, is that the special circumstances here, well, keep in mind that there's conditions and there's criteria associated with a waiver request. So the criteria have to be met in order to get the waiver, and then the waiver is subject to those conditions. The applicant's already able to meet the conditions of a waiver, and so we need to make sure when we're reaching a decision on this that we're meeting all the criteria that's in our code. As Eric stated, the council in this odd circumstance sort of stands in the shoes of the planner as Mr. White, and so the special circumstances that are applicable to the property or need to be demonstrated by the applicant in this scenario have to be unique to that property and not so dissimilar from other properties in the area. And in this particular circumstance, that has not been demonstrated. We just know that every property in the area doesn't have sewer. And so what this code provision is doing with the special circumstances, what that is it's a savings clause really for the city to avoid a situation where they run into a regulatory taking. And that's why there's a reference to denial of economically viable use of the property. You have a scenario where your code is denying a landowner all economically viable use of the property, which would be, they can't build a home on their property because for some reason they can't get, sewer to the property. Well, to deny them a permit in that circumstance would constitute a taking, and they would be, entitled to just compensation for that under the Fifth Amendment, right? But in this circumstance, we know that they're already able to build a single-family home, so they really haven't been denied all economically viable use of the property. And when Eric and I were discussing this kind of just before the meeting, it dawned on us that it may be beneficial for us to create a form so that council can enter findings on this waiver request. We do have 90 days to reach a decision on an open record appeal. And so perhaps continuing this so that we can come back with a form and let council make appropriate findings in accordance with our code provisions would be warranted in this scenario.
Well,
If that were the case, where action would be, instead of denying, would be to continue, or what would?
Yes.
Well, I'm definitely more into continuing this because, because this is a very difficult situation we're in. And, I don't think that we should deny the landowners to build what they want to build. But if I'm hearing this correctly, they can build a single family home on this big property, but not 3 homes.
That's correct.
And we want more density, but we can't provide the sewer. So I'm gonna move to just to continue this for now, and we need to get more information. We need to make it right for the developers and the people building the homes, and we need to see how we can make it right for the citizens of Pasco and just come to a better consensus of what it's gonna be. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself right now. What does the council feel about that? Yes, Councilmember Serrano, sorry.
If we are going to continue this, can you all also look into the reverse application, or whatever we were calling that, the reverse latecomers, where
Sure.
the city may contribute some up front and burden share, and then also look at the gift of public funds component, whether or not that exists there?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this is a very complicated issue,
Yeah, I
and the
mean,
more we
this
started
is,
to get into
you
it,
know,
the more
the
kind of-
form's great, the gift of public funds is great, but let's get all the ducks aligned. If we're gonna kick this ball down the road, let's at least give them the fairness of having looked at everything and determining whether or not it's reasonable under those courses. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, no, we would just, Mr. Mayor, if we could have a motion and then a second to continue, I guess it would be preferred to have a date certain so that the applicants know the next time that the council will be able to address this. If the council wants to do that for 2 weeks or 3 or however they want to proceed.
Well, how much time do you need, Mr. Wright? What do you think is appropriate?
I don't want to, I know that time is very important, but I also don't want to come to council in 2 weeks and not have the kind of information that you think you need for making a decision. So I think 4 weeks would be appropriate. The first council meeting in, let's see, July 6th is the next one, probably the second regular council meeting in July. 19th. Okay.
Councilmember Roach.
I just wanted to ask if we are anticipating to have this similar situation play out again and again as people decide to develop in the county, and we don't have the ability to extend, they don't have the ability to extend sewer as far as they need to. Is there some sort of structure that we can come up with, an LID agreement with developers in these areas that we know will eventually be developed, have lift stations serving them? I don't know what that looks like. I'm just kind of spitballing an idea here, but something that we're kind of being proactive about, more of these sorts of cases.
Yes, and over the past several years, we've actually been placing as a condition of subdivision that participates in the property owner waives the right to oppose participation in a local improvement district for sewer service or street improvements or whatever the case may be. So that's become a standard statement on our subdivision, and it's recorded on the plat itself, whether it's a long plat or a short plat, less than 9 lots or more than nine lots. So in a sense, that's already occurring. We haven't ever used it, of course, yet, but it is. We probably have quite a collection by now.
Okay, Councilor Alvarado.
Yeah, I think just to add another level of complexity, and some of this is already discussed here, but obviously what we also don't want and we need to think about is, what are some unintended consequences if we move something like this forward? What does that open up for the rest of our city versus perhaps a specific area? So looking at area-specific things might be necessary, or looking at, just what are some unintended consequences that this could open up and can get us in hot water and do the opposite of what our comprehensive plan is trying to do. And so I think that's a big, job that our planning department has. So thank you so much for all the work you do, and thank you our building community and folks who just wanting to enjoy their land. It's always hard when it comes to land use to try to come up with the best solution. So thank you for your patience and for work trying to work with the city.
All right, thank you. So we have go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem, we're gonna propose.
Just, if you can let me know what that motion should look like. All I have currently is I move to continue, and then a date for the 19th.
Just I move to continue this open record appeal hearing to June 19th? July 19th.
So go ahead, if you want to entertain the motion.
I move to continue the open record to July 19th. Oh.
Open record appeal.
I move to continue the open record appeal to July 19th.
Okay, so there's been a motion to continue the appeal till the July 19th. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Maloney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It passes unanimously. So, thank you very much. We're working to try to make it to where it can be, so it can work for everybody. All right, thank you very much. All right, so we got through that one for tonight. More to come. Miscellaneous discussion. City Manager, Assistant City Manager Adam Lincoln, would you like to?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I've got a couple items for you tonight. The first item, wanted to acknowledge Communications Manager John Funfar, who recently received the Busk Leadership Award from the Alliance for Community Media. He seems to be racking these up. The Busk Leadership Award recognizes individuals who have demonstrated commitment to the mission and goals of the Alliance for Community Media, leadership within the organization, a high degree of involvement in the organization nationally, regionally, and at the chapter level, and continuing service to the ACM. So that was the first item. Second item, our Mayor Pro Tem recently received her certificate in municipal leadership from the Association for Washington Cities. And this is a big deal for council members to receive this. AWC's Certificate for Municipal Leadership Program recognizes city and town elected officials for accomplishing training in 4 core areas: roles, responsibilities, and legal requirements, public sector resource management, community planning and development, and effective local leadership. So congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem.
Congratulations. All right, well,
those are the 2 items.
Thank you. Thank you, Assistant Manager Adam Lincoln, and congratulations. And it doesn't surprise me. So looking forward for, the more we can learn, the more we can have better products for our communities, the better. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure the community appreciates that. All right, with that, if there's nobody else with the miscellaneous items, do we have a need for an executive session tonight? All right, so with that, it is 8:23, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.